Am I in my same house dress from the last 3 days? Yes. I have 6 books left to go on this list. I'm finishing it today. Let's go. Second in October was Oak King, Holly King, and this is one of the books that made me realize I have a very specific niche, which is historical queer romance. Bonus points if it is fantasy. This is that. This is the book that made me realize I have that. I love it. I love everything about this book. The magic was interesting, and the Fae were very much like the Fae in Emily Wilde, where they're very mischievous, sometimes really even cruel, and all of that mixed together with Wren's complicated feelings on his sexuality, living in Victorian England when sodomy is against the law, just made this book incredibly enjoyable. Okay, next up is Shah and the End of Time. I mentioned this briefly in my books I got for Christmas lists. Shah is published by Rick Riordan's, publishing imprint through Disney. This is Indian-based mythology, like South Asian, Indian-based mythology. And it is as colorful as the book's cover appears to be. It's just beautiful descriptions, and Aru is such a brilliant character. She does have a tendency to lie, although she does seem to overcome that by the end of this book. I need more of books like this. And it's weird because I read another book by the same author, The Last Tale of the Flower Bride, and I like that way less than this. It was still a fine book, but it's just Aru is so special. I also unfortunately have 3 books from November. The first one is The Shadow Cabinet, the second book in the Her Majesty's Royal Coven series. This book had, after the oh shit ending of the first book, I had to, of course, continue with this series. And the stakes just keep getting higher and higher, and I don't know much. I am so scared for Theo. I don't know where my copy of this book went. I'm thinking I may have given it to my dad. Kindred is my second favorite from November. I am fully aware that I'm not necessarily qualified to talk about this book. I am, of course, of the cracker, the saltine cracker complexion. But this book is very important, not just because of Octavia Butler, because in the last year or so, Octavia Butler's books have had a resurgence that is very much earned because her work is absolutely brilliant. This explores the horrors that were enacted upon living people, like human beings, and the horrors that they had to go through, and the horrors that they unfortunately had to get used to during the antebellum South time period, and the shit they still have to go through. It's very important. It's a very important read, not just for the BIPOC community, but for people like me who don't have a connection to that generational trauma. It's very important that we read books like this and we become more introspective and realize even the littlest things we do have origins in systemic racism. My last favorite from November is Monstrous, a graphic novel by and about Sarah Myer, who is a Korean-born person who was adopted by an American family and lived and grew up in the South, in a very rural town. And this explores, her relationships with her birth culture versus the culture that she's grown up in, her relationships with her own identity and her family, and finding community in the anime and cosplay space. And I resonated very deeply with it because the anime and cosplay space was a community I was in and a part of during a similar time in my life that Sarah found it and discovered it. And lastly, December. I'm just going to put all 3 of these books. I technically finished the first one in November, but I'm lumping all 3 of these together. can explain. Okay, so of course I bought all 3 of these books at Target simply because of the titles. Like, can we can we all just agree that these are the most brilliant titles? Like, they advertise themselves. But I recently started following Kimberly on TikTok and on YouTube, and I love these books. This is my new comfort series. It is very spicy, and oddly enough, the books get less spicy as they keep going. That Time I Saved a Demon is the most spicy of all 3 of these books. It is my least favorite by a decent margin, simply because the anachronisms were incredibly distracting and didn't really seem to add anything. And it was very... All these books have sort of a relationship with, if not insta-love, then there's the fated mates thing. But they are absolutely brilliant. I was laughing out loud for all 3 of these books. My favorite has to be That Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf. Not simply because that setup is absolutely hilarious, because it is, but because Bree and Felix are 2 amazing and amazingly deep characters. I was not expecting these books to hit me in the heart as much as they do. I love all of these books. I am so looking forward to her sci-fi novel, which is going to be coming out very soon. So yeah, that is the last part of my favorite books from 2024, excuse me. So yeah, I'm going to try and do monthly videos covering what I read and what my favorites and least favorites are from that month in 2025. So near the end of January, when it looks like I'm not going to be able to finish any more books for the month, I will make a video of everything that I was able to finish and post it for all of you to enjoy. So for now, that is it for me. I will see you all in my next one.